Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're heading to Singapore, that education powerhouse in Asia. Amazing universities, incredible city life. But what's the real story behind the price tag?
Yeah,
We want to get beyond the glossy brochures. So let's unpack this. We're aiming to figure out the true cost tuition, yeah, but also living expenses, all those little things that add up.
exactly. The goal here is really to give you a full, clear picture, help you feel informed, not sort of overwhelmed by it all.
Okay, so before we get into the nitty-gritty numbers, maybe just quickly touch on why Singapore? Why is it so popular? I mean,
Yeah.
you hear about places like NUS, right? National University of Singapore, and NTU.
Absolutely. NUS is huge in things like AI, life sciences.
Yeah.
NTU consistently top for engineering, innovation, world-class stuff. And beyond the academics, it's just, well, it's known for being incredibly safe, super efficient, a real hub, great connections globally, strategically placed.
It's that kind of premium experience.
Yeah.
It does come with costs, right?
Yeah.
That's what we need to break down.
It does. And what's fascinating here, or maybe crucial to understand first, is the tuition difference. It's quite significant between public and private universities, I mean.
Okay.
So for international undergrads, public universities, you're probably looking at somewhere between SGD 10,000 and 20,000 a year, roughly. Private places, generally higher, maybe SGD 18,000 up to 25,000, sometimes more. And postgrad varies again, of course.
Right, so that first choice, public versus private, already makes a big financial
A
difference.
huge one. And public unis often have, well, more structured aid opportunities, too.
Okay, tuition's one thing, but here's where it gets really interesting for a lot of students, I think. Living expenses. They can really bite, can't they?
They can, but you actually have quite a bit of control here. It depends on your choices.
Like accommodation.
Exactly. Accommodation is the biggest variable, usually.
Yeah.
University dorms, much cheaper, maybe SGD 400 to 800 a month. Compare that to renting a private studio apartment that could easily be SGD 1,500, maybe even 2,500 a month. Big jump.
Well, yeah, okay. But what about, like, food, transport, day-to-day stuff?
Well, the good news there is daily life can be surprisingly affordable. Singapore's hawker centers are famous for a reason. You can get amazing meals for like SGD 3 to 6.
Seriously, that's great.
Yeah. And public transport is super efficient, very affordable. A monthly pass is maybe SGD 50 to 120, covers buses, trains.
Okay, so let's try and pull those numbers together. If we add up accommodation, food, transport, personal bits, what's the sort of average monthly cost? Excluding the tuition for a moment.
Right, excluding tuition. You're probably looking at a range, maybe SGD 1,250 on the lower end, perhaps up to SGD 2,420 on the higher end per month.
So annually, adding tuition back in, the total cost for studying in Singapore in, say, 2025 could be anywhere between SGD 20,000 and 50,000.
Yeah, that's a pretty realistic range covering all the main things. It's a significant amount for sure.
It really is. So this raises an important question. How can students actually manage these costs?
Right.
What help is out there?
This is where Singapore is actually quite strategic. There are university scholarships, of course, like the NUS Global Merit Scholarship. Those are important. But the real game changer for many international students is the government's tuition grant scheme, the TGS.
Ah, yes, the TGS. Tell us a bit more about that.
Well, it's basically a hefty subsidy on your tuition fees. It brings the cost down significantly for eligible courses at public institutions. But there's a catch, or rather, a commitment. You have to agree to work in Singapore for 3 years after you graduate.
Okay, so it's not just free money. It's an investment by Singapore and a potential career path for the student.
Exactly. It makes that top-tier education much more accessible if you're open to working there afterwards. And definitely, apply early for everything. TGS, scholarships, everything. That's crucial.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Beyond the big grants, though, what about those day-to-day savings? Practical tips.
Oh, definitely. Simple things make a difference. Shared housing, as we said, big saver. Eating at hawker centers most of the time. Seriously, embrace them.
Good advice.
Use student discounts wherever you see them. Transport, museums, sometimes even shops. Buy used textbooks instead of new ones. And if your student visa allows, you can work part-time, usually up to 16 hours a week during term time. That can help cover daily expenses. Like that education blogger Ananya Sharma said, it's about being smart with your budget right from day one.
Budget smart from day one. Good quote. So let's connect this to the bigger picture then. Singapore might have higher living costs than some places.
Yeah.
But there's something else to consider, isn't there? The course duration.
Yes, exactly. This is a key point. Many undergraduate degrees in Singapore are only 3 years long.
compared to 4 years in places like the U.S., often.
Right, so you save an entire year's worth of tuition and living expenses. That fundamentally changes the total cost calculation. Suddenly, that world-class degree looks surprisingly competitive, even compared to places that might seem cheaper per year on the surface.
That's a really important perspective. Do you have an example, maybe a quick case study?
Sure, think of someone like, let's call her Priya, studying at NTU. Maybe she budgeted around SGD 40,000 a year. But by being smart, choosing shared campus housing, getting that tuition grant, using her student transport card religiously, cooking some meals, finding used books, she actually managed to spend closer to SGD 32,500.
Wow, so a saving of SGD 7,500 a year just through planning?
Exactly. It just shows how much proactive planning in those everyday choices can impact the bottom line. It's doable.
So the takeaway seems to be, yes, a world-class education in Singapore is within reach, but it absolutely requires informed planning and making some strategic choices along the way.
It really does. And if we connect this to the bigger picture for you, the listener, it makes you think, doesn't it? How do these different the grants, the living choices, the course link, how do they fit with your goals for studying abroad? What stands out most to you in balancing ambition with, well, financial reality?
Yeah, it's a balancing act. So here's something to think about. Could Singapore's unique mix, that top-level education, the shorter degrees, plus those significant financial aid options like the TGS, could that actually reshape how you perceive what's affordable for international study? Could this be a model that works for you?